specialize in bio-individual nutrition. So what is bio-individual nutrition? Bio-individual nutrition is the science and clinical application of taking nutrients, food, and applying it to a person's bio-individual needs. Okay, now let me speak English and gang slang this a bit. So we basically take foods and figure out and tailor them to specific people and what their needs are. Now, how do you figure out what somebody's needs are? All right, we're looking at digestibility. We're looking at DNA, genetics. We're looking at health history. We're looking at hormones. We're looking at digestive capacity. We're looking at stomach acid. I mean, all sorts of different factors come into play as far as trying to figure out what's specific for each individual person. I always get the big questions, there's the paleo, and there's the, should I be paleo? Should I do keto? And honestly, it's like, well, some people can do well with those things because they work well with their bodies. Some people literally, they take one bite and they gain 5 pounds. And they're like, what do I do? I don't understand this. So today I want to kind of unlock some mysteries on, and educate you guys on what this is all about. So I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, that's me. Got over 20 years of experience. Yep, let's talk about us. We specialize in nutrition. Yeah, we know that. All right. Are you tired of being tired? How many of you guys have, just energy issues? You feel fatigue, brain foggish, you have lulls throughout the course of the day, or you literally, or you're not sleeping well, All of this comes into play with your body and how it works within, like I said, within foods and also within hormones. We're going to go over that today too. So, have you tried to lose weight and just can't? This is where people come to me. I'm the last resort. Literally, people will come to me. I've tried everything. It doesn't matter. It's just not moving. And it's I look at the calories. I take it's calories in, calories out. And not so much. So there's a couple things let's talk about with calories real fast. You can either be taking too many calories in, or you can be taking too little calories in. Okay, now when you aren't taking enough calories in, God designed us in a great way. Okay, He designed us to survive. When we're not getting enough calories in, your body will go into storage mode and it will store fat. Okay, and that's why people are like, but I barely eat and I'm gaining weight or I'm not losing weight, and that's why. So you have to find out what's the number for you. If you got a question?
Well, no. Alongside of this, I gained 12 pounds in one weekend. That's excessive. That was during this time. And I was like, oh, I ate too much. And she said, no, it takes 3,000 calories to gain
1 pound.
1 pound. I wasn't eating 3,000 calories. I didn't eat that much. But that's where the specific foods that I ate caused my body to go to, gain 12 pounds in 1 weekend.
I'm pretty much going to end up throwing that.
I didn't mean to jump.
That's all right.
That was the line of thought. It's not about the calories. It's not about, right? Calories are.
All right, so,
I'll tell you.
Again, whatever.
I'll take care of it.
It is what it is. Okay, so.
Where do you want to go?
Where am I going to go?
No, you said you want to do.
No, just
okay.
I'm
do your thing.
I'm about to fly. Whatever. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about
calories.
Let's talk about inflammation. Okay, and that's the trigger here. Okay, inflammation, acute inflammation is a great thing. All right, if you cut your arm, all right, you get some swelling in there. Basically, the cells will get all around there. It's trying to heal. It's trying to do its thing. Okay, acute inflammation is great there. Now, acute inflammation coming through food is a whole different ballgame. And it can turn into chronic inflammation if you're not careful. There's certain foods that are highly inflammatory to the body. And unfortunately, they are the lifelines of our existence. Now, don't throw anything at me, and you guys are all sitting down, right? But the gluten, dairy, and sugar. I'm sorry, let me say that again. Gluten, dairy, and sugar, all right? Let me explain some things within this. Now, gluten. Let's talk about our ugly little friend gluten. Everybody's like gluten-free now, and what's that all about? And it's a trend, what did gluten ever do to me? Why does everybody have this problem now? There's two things that we need to talk about. First and foremost is they don't harvest and process things the way that they used to. You know, when back in Mr. George's day, you know, growing up on the farm, they didn't have the they didn't process things. They didn't have the chemicals that they spray on them. They didn't do things that way. It was a more natural source. This is why Grandma and Grandpa, they were like, what are you talking about gluten? You know, we never had this problem before. Well, as they're getting ready to harvest the crops, they actually sprayed on the crops with a thing called glyphosate. Glyphosate is a little chemical that we refer to as Roundup. You know that thing that kills weeds? All right. So that's getting into your food source. So if you're wondering why all of a sudden I'm gluten intolerant, I don't know, you're taking in a huge amount of, you're taking in pesticides, you're taking in Roundup. Your digestive tract is like, whoa, not good. The other thing is this. The other thing is zonulin. Zonulin is a protein that holds together the tight junctions of your gut, okay? Now, zonulin's job is to open it up. So the villi, okay, all right. You have your digestive tract. You have these little fingers down your digestive tract called villi, all right? This, guys, are the grabbers of the nutrients, all right? That's where they need to go. Now, zonulin sits in here, and it opens up and allows the nutrients to go where they need to go, all right? Now, when gluten comes into play, gluten elevates the levels of zonulin. And when that happens, food particles are able to get through. So this is the big one. People don't understand why they're reacting to foods that they eat all the time. I never had a problem with this before. Why am I having a problem with this now? And it's one of the things that I go through with my people all the time, because step one that I do is I got to clean house with people. When I take somebody through one of my programs, we do a detox because I need a clean slate to work with. And as we push out all the top inflammatory things or the things that I see in your intake forms that may be possible triggers, we calm everything down. Now you add those foods back in, and man, there's reactions that come out of nowhere. Like Noah had no idea that he was coconut.
I mean, just to be very transparent, part of the liver detox was, can I share? Coconut was allowed. Coconut was allowed. Salmon, eggs, I had green vegetables, and then coconut. I could have coconut yogurt, I could have coconut oil. Well, 3 different occasions I had coconut during my liver detox, and within an hour of having coconut, it ran right through me. Violent response to coconut.
He'd never had it before.
Or I wasn't in tune with what I was eating or my body, right?
Right.
It was like, so when I went totally clean,
yes,
I was aware of the responses.
You become very aware very quickly on how your body is reacting and responding to the foods that you eat. Now, so there's inflammatory reactions that happen within the body when you're having food reactions. So questions like this. It's like when you eat, when you're eating something, does your nose start to run? Do your ears start to itch? Does your throat kind of itch? These are histamine reactions. These are the body sending inflammatory reactions saying, I'm not all right, I'm not all right. Do you get acid reflux? Another issue. Do you become bloated and gassy? That's your body saying, not okay. Constipation, diarrhea. Now, the crazy thing with this, you can have a reaction to a food up to 3 days after you eat it. 3 days. So I always get the whole, in certain cases, you have extreme reactions like him, like where he will literally eat coconut and he's on the toilet in 30 minutes, But for the most part, from mouth to toilet, you're talking 48 to 72 hours. And so being in tune and in check with, well, okay, I got to look back and kind of think, what triggered this? What was the issue here? So we keep a lot of information and food logs and everything else, so I can look back on these things. Right. I've gone in 10 different directions sideways. Where's my thingy? I'm gonna try and pick myself back up right now. Any questions so far? I'm all about being interactive here.
Is the detox fun?
It's awful.
Oh my gosh!
It's awful.
Okay, so I'd like everybody to meet Chuck here. Chuck's going through the detox right now as we speak.
Right now.
All right, so this is the.
It's awful, and honestly, part of the.
But you're still lying, right?
What?
Okay.
It's okay to whine.
Why?
You can drink wine.
No, I thought you said, can you whine? You can whine. No, you can't whine.
Oh my
but
God.
You can whine. But again, this is part of it's one thing to have a plan. It's one thing to know about how to do the plan, but another layer for me was the accountability, the coaching, the encouragement. That was part of the success that I had with the detox. So, but the detox, it's awful. Like I felt like I was dying for 3 days. But she explains it. It's food leaving your body. It's toxins leaving your liver. Your liver literally goes through everything that you do goes through.
I'm sorry, Mr.
liver. You want me to
All right, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Noah, come sit down.
No.
I do have a question. Can I ask you a question?
Fire.
So you said that gluten issues have to do with Roundup pesticides being sprayed on food.
Yes,
So
that's one of the issues.
Okay, so that's one of the issues. So when you have companies like, for example, Monsanto, that basically own everything.
Yeah.
So they're spraying Roundup and everything. So if I'm going to eat gluten-free, I'm eating food that has not been sprayed. Is that what I'm eating, or
You would like to do organic, absolutely. If that is an option, but zonulin is still going to be an issue. So regardless if you're eating organic, it's still not going to matter. Gluten is still going to elevate levels of zonulin in your system and open up those junctions. So it's people you can develop a lot of issues if you continue and you eat a lot of it. Just FYI.
So, but in order to be completely gluten-free, I mean, just by the label, that's good enough? Is that what you're saying, in the sense of the way we buy food?
Okay, well, opening up can of worms here.
Oh, sorry.
Because a lot of oats get sprayed down. There's a lot. They harvest a lot of things together. So there's a lot of things that end up getting the stuff on them, So, yeah.
So what you're saying is there's really no such thing as gluten-free. Honestly.
Well,
It's like kneecap
well, hang on, because gluten is in lots of different things. It's not just in wheat. I mean, gluten is in tons of products. It's in soy sauce. It's in all sorts of different types of foods.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily in just wheat, per se. All right, let me talk to you about the liver, because this is, I'm sure you guys all have your interest sparked with Chuck's dying.
Noah died.
Noah died. Oh my gosh. So, your liver is your main detoxifying organ, all right? It has over 500 metabolic functions, all right? So, listen, really key things. Other than, with fats, proteins, and carbohydrates, digestion, bile, it metabolizes drugs. Now, the big thing within your liver, too, also, so your liver, everything you eat, everything you breathe in, every medicine you take, anything that comes in your body the liver's going to see it. It's going to have to be processed through there, okay? That's a really big job for one organ, all right? Now, over time, what happens with diet, with lifestyle, with drinking, with medications and everything else, the liver can become toxic, okay? Or sluggish. And when it becomes sluggish, things don't work very well. Digestion can be impaired. You can have issues with your gallbladder because those two work hand in hand together. But the other big things are, thyroid. So, thyroid 101 is what we're going to go down. Okay. So, basically, your pituitary gland in your brain, okay, says we need thyroid hormone, okay? And it's going to shoot out in two different things. It's going to shoot out into T3 and T4. Now, T3 is active, all right? It is active, and it has no need for anything else. But the problem is it's a very small amount that's released. The majority of your hormone that's released is in T4, all right? Now,
I'm going to interrupt real quick.
Go ahead.
It's a logistics issue. We're allowed to park at Badcock Furniture. We're allowed to park on Main Street. But does somebody have a white Subaru that's in the empty parking lot?
Yeah.
I can move for you.
Okay.
So you can be here.
Sweet.
Oh, sir.
Thanks.
We do an hour.
I'll be back. Sorry to interrupt.
Thanks, Noah.
That's right. Ooh, I am alone with my slides. It's a miracle, but really. No, wait, go back. It hates me. All right. So anyway, back to this. So the majority of everything is released here in T4. Now it has to be converted to T3 in order for your thyroid to function well, all right? Now, in order for the conversion to happen, you have to have adequate amounts of iodine, iron, selenium, zinc, B1, B2, B12, vitamin A, vitamin D, all present, okay? That's step one. Step two, some of it is absorbed in the gut, so the gut needs to be doing well, but the majority of it, that's my liver. It's pretty. The majority of it, 80% of it, happens here. Okay, so if this is sluggish, this is why I always take everybody through a detox first, of detoxifying the liver, because if this is sluggish, things aren't going to work. Your metabolism is going to be compromised, all right? Your digestion is going to be compromised. So we have to start here first. Let me give you a little story about little girl named Susie, all right? I have, out of nowhere, my thyroid just cracked on me. Like it just tanked on me. And I'm an endurance athlete. I don't have issues with, weight or anything else. All of a sudden, like, I gained a few pounds. I gained like 5 pounds, and I just felt terrible. Well, I have a little thing called hematochromatosis. Okay, hematochromatosis is high iron levels genetically. I ran 23andMe on me a few months ago, and I literally saw it, and I was like, it's a possibility, whatever. Didn't really think anything of it. I was just glad that I didn't have any other gene mutations, and I was like, no big deal. Now, I sat here, and I was just feeling awful. So I ran labs on myself to see what's going on. There's a disconnect somewhere. And I literally, when I went to go sit down, I just heard the Lord say iron. And I was like, I'm probably anemic. Yeah, that's probably it, because, I need adequate amounts of iron for my thyroid. Something's going on there. And I ran my labs, and when they came in, my mouth was the floor, because, the range is, 45 or 40, no, it's like 30 something to 145 is the range, high range, 145, 219, okay? 219. So my liver is totally toxic, okay? And my saturation was 78. I mean, my doctor was like, oh, now the only way to lower iron levels in your body when they're high is to do phlebotomy. You have to actually take blood out of you. So I went to my doctor and I was like, hey, we got to go. And as you take out every 500 cc's, it drops at 29 points. Okay, that's just the standard, and it worked, and we watched it. We ran labs to see where things are at. We did 2 draws, and then I went in to see my other doctor. And I sat down with him, and I was like, okay, this is where things are at. And he was like, and I said, I want to do another draw because it'll put me right in range. It'll put me right at the top end, but I'm just feeling awful. And he was like, well, you're on borderline being anemic, so I just don't think that that's a good idea. And I looked at him and I was like, okay, do you hear yourself? Do you know what you're comparing this to? You're saying I'm going to be a little bit tired, or I'm damaging an organ, okay, like bad. Because he's concerned now, I have cirrhosis of the liver, I could have cancer of the liver, I could even have, with my thyroid being the way it is, I can have issues with my pituitary gland. And I'm like, because the iron can settle in there. It does that with hematochromatosis. And so I left him, of course, and went to my naturopath. He was on my team. And I was like, buddy. And he's like, let's take it out. So I did. I went to go do another draw, and literally my blood just stopped coming out at 250. Like, we couldn't get anything else out. I went and ran labs the following week to see where things are at, because I should have been sitting right at like 149 based off the numbers. But I was feeling really good. Like, all of a sudden I felt normal again. And this is my God story, okay? My numbers came back and my levels were 45. My iron saturation was at 14. And it makes no sense. Medically, it makes no sense. Okay, I got goosebumps talking about this, because this is where miracles happen. Okay, I took my papers in. I went to go see my doctor, and I was like, he goes, medically, this doesn't make sense. And I'm like, this is God's handiwork. I'm just telling you right now. So the moral of my story is this: you can do anything, don't lose hope. All right, because my whole world has been changed by that completely. I mean, it's been amazing. So anyway, toxicity and everything in the liver can cause things not to work. Now, so I take everybody through a liver detox first and foremost, and basically it's foods that are going to target detoxifying the liver. So it's not like a juice fast or anything like that. It's actual foods that target cleaning that out. And we remove the trigger sources, because when you have things in your system that are, your triggers, you've got this small burning fire always, and it's creating inflammation and it's holding inflammation. And it's when we remove it, it's crazy what happens is like Noah lost 16 pounds the first week. 16 pounds. And it wasn't because Noah, it was we removed the triggers.
It wasn't, I was eating.
Yes.
It wasn't that I was eating.
You were, absolutely. And that's the beauty of it, is you get to you get some good results up front, but also you just feel better, And like I said, you have this clean slate, and then your body really kind of surfaces and shows you. Like if you put those triggers back in, you'll find out real fast what they are, because your body says, yeah.
Yeah, well, Susan, I was gonna add, Noah was walking by my office, and I was like, come here a second. I was like, are you okay? I was looking at him, I got a noticeable difference. I was like, I felt like you lost weight getting up out of bed this morning. He's like, dude, I'm on this crazy thing. It's awesome. So yeah, it's really cool.
Chuck, doesn't that sound familiar?
Yeah.
People are already asking Chuck, well, you're looking good, buddy. Chuck's not liking the detox because, well, there's two sides of
Everybody
it.
likes it.
There's two sides of it, because this is the deal. One side of it is, you're gonna eliminate the fire and everything else, but basically you got all these toxins in your liver and you're releasing the hounds in your bloodstream. Okay, so you don't feel very good. Like all of a sudden, if you don't, I tell everybody drink lemon water like it's your job, and break a sweat every day, because you've got to get the toxins out of your system. And so when you have those things floating around, you get headaches and body aches, and you don't feel well, and that's basically why I showed up to my doctor that day. I was like, buddy, I'm dying. Like seriously, I'm in the middle of detoxing my liver, and I know how bad all of this is, but I'm like, you need to run some extra labs on me, because I was convinced, I'm death row. And I was like, no, it's just you going through that. So back to hormones, your adrenal glands. Okay, this is the other thing that are key factors within weight loss. So cortisol. Cortisol is your fight or flight hormone. Okay, so basically when we're under stress, now stress comes in many different ways. Okay, stress can be exercise, stress can be your kids, stress can be your job, stress can be not sleeping enough, stress can be not eating enough. There are all sorts of different stresses in life, okay? So when you're under stress, your body releases cortisol. Okay, now we go back to hormone 101, because there's a lot going on here. First and foremost, like I said, God designed us in a great way, right, to survive. So, let me see. Are we rolling with me? And we've already done that. I've jumped everywhere. I have. All right, anyway, let's talk about hormone 101. So, cholesterol. You know that thing that everybody tells you need to lower? Yeah? Cholesterol is the precursor for your hormones. What? You just learned something new today. Below that, we have pregnenolone. Pregnenolone is the mothership, okay? Pregnenolone is the mothership of all hormones. This is where everybody's going to come from, all right? From here, you have your sex hormones down this leg, all right? So we have estradiol, estrone, the andros, testosterone, DHEA, and so on. Down this leg, we have two things. we have progesterone, and we have cortisol. When you are under stress, and this little guy screams, this goes straight here, okay? This gets taken away from, areas over here get taken away from, and everything goes here. Now, when this gets high, your body will store fat. Yes, when cortisol levels get high, oh my gosh, you'll store fat for survival, because that's again, fight or flight hormone. So, getting good balance in your life is another really key important thing, because you want everybody playing well together. If everybody's not playing well together, okay, here we go again. So ladies, progesterone. Progesterone and estrogen, okay? Estrogen should be 1. Progesterone should be 300. This is like the ratio, okay? What happens is when you're constantly stealing from this and this isn't getting this, progesterone levels go down, okay? Estrogen levels can rise from birth control pills, from a lot of other things, or they can still stay the same. But regardless, there's an imbalance now and you're estrogen dominant. And you have a cellulite, you have a hard time with sleep, you have fatigue. When progesterone levels are off, weight loss is really hard to do. Now, the other kicker, this guy right here, progesterone, when progesterone levels stay low enough, they affect this one. So then thyroid's not working well. So again, everyone in the pool has to be playing well together, or else you're going to have a very hard time with weight loss. So
So
yes.
everybody says a common conversation is, I have a thyroid issue, but there's actually a root issue,
Oh yeah.
which is the
There's subclinical, there's primary hypothyroidism, there's subclinical, there's totally, there's reasons behind it completely. And I want to throw this out there, I hear this all the time, oh, I had my thyroid checked about a year ago and it's fine. A year ago and right now is 2 different timelines. A year ago and right now is 2 different people, okay? So it's not a good indication of where things are at right now if you've had it done a long time ago. If you're symptomatic, if you're feeling tired, if you're having energy issues, if you're having weight issues, if you're having sleep issues, you need to have them checked. You need to see who's not playing well together, you know? So when I get my intake forms, and like Noah talked about my 400 pages long, it's 30, it's not 40. But
34.
it's 34. Chuck did it recently.
Get your haterade out of here, buddy.
Gatorade.
So it's really important information for me because there's boxes. Not only do I get your health history, I get your, lifestyle history. I get to see, who's in the family, who's in the house, what does everybody do, what's your stressors. I get to see hormones. How are those playing well together? I get to see symptoms, if I'm looking at things and I see low libido, I see low energy, okay? I'm looking at testosterone, I'm looking at progesterone. Those things aren't doing well, okay? If I see things like flushing in the face and hives and stuff like that, I'm seeing food reactions. So it's so many different factors that go into this. It's not just one thing as far as like what you're eating and what you're not eating. It's the hormones. It's the foods. Are you having sensitivities? And then again, why are you having these sensitivities? Do you have issues with your gut? Do you have issues with your digestive system? So the big thing, stomach acid. Let's talk about that for a second. Acid reflux. Oh my gosh. Me. I had really bad acid reflux for a long time. Now I was that athlete that could literally guys, I would eat myself. My coach used to think I had tapeworm, but pre-meal the night before, literally we'd be at the restaurant and it'd be like 2 plates of fries. I'm not kidding. Because I needed the carbs. And I did a number on my body, all right? So, got really bad acid reflux. Let me see. Chuck asked me, did I ever like chips? Okay, fire Cheetos, buddy, those were my friend. Like, one night, like, it wasn't even like a small bag, you know those big bags? I mean, I even took that thing down. And I ended up in the emergency room that night because I literally thought I was having a heart attack. I lay there at night, my husband was deployed, and I was like, it would be really irresponsible of me to die while he's gone. Like, I should really just go. Ended up I had really bad acid reflux, and I had GERD. So things would come up. My valve wasn't working well at all. Now, doctors were prescribing me all sorts of medication. I was on proton pump inhibitors twice a day, 40 milligrams. I went to my doctor, and I was like, it ain't working for me. I don't want to be on meds. And he was like, all right. And I was like, you need to run some tests on me. This is what I want done. And he was like, okay. And I'm like, we need to get to the root of this. Oh, I probably will never be able to tell you that. So they did an endoscopy on me, and I got a phone call from the surgeon. Yeah. The valve wasn't working well. They actually took the top portion of my stomach and had to wrap it around my esophagus to tighten things down. The doctor told me, he said, it'll fix your GERD, but you're probably still going to have reflux. Okay. All right. Bottom line, you can have reflux for two different reasons. One, either it's too much stomach acid or too low stomach acid. Now, it's pretty much a 60-40 split that I've seen. Most people, they have too little stomach acid. How do you know if you have too little stomach acid? Well, if you eat and you start to burp afterwards, if you become bloated right after you eat, your body's having a hard time digesting, it doesn't have enough. If you see undigested food in your stool, these are signs that you have low stomach acid. And what doctors do, they own the market, the pharmaceuticals own the market, they throw the Band-Aid on it of, let's give you, a proton pump inhibitor and let's just block it, and that's fine. But that's great, but what it does to your digestive tract now, you're not absorbing nutrients. It tanks your magnesium. There's so many side effects, not just with the medication, but now you're not able to absorb things, and it's not breaking down foods the way that it needs to be broken down to. So your intestinal lining, gets all messed up because you've got undigested food coming down. Everybody's like, why do I have such stomach issues? Well, okay, there's a lot going on here. So I take a strong look at that, and just fixing digestion. People with no gallbladder, okay, that's the other thing. I have people all the time, they come to me, they say, I have no gallbladder. Okay, so that tells me right now that you can't absorb or break down fats. Your liver produces the bile to break down fats, your gallbladder stores it. There's no storage spot, so it's running. So this was an on-demand thing, this on-demand isn't there anymore. So if you're not taking digestive enzymes, if you're not taking a bile supplement or taurine to help break those fats down, you eat something fatty, you are screaming to the toilet in 5 minutes, running straight through you, and it totally, and people, they don't tell them that. They don't because the hard thing with doctors is they have 1 day of nutrition in medical school, so they're not educated in that respect, and they just tell you, oh, you'll be fine, just stay away from these certain things, and you're like, forever? Mm-hmm. But you took my gallbladder when I was 20. Really? And if you don't know that and you're living your life that way, you're going to have so many digestive issues because of, this thing is not working correctly. Make sense? Guys got any questions?
Talk about diabetes, you can help. With nutrition.
Oh my gosh, my favorite is getting people off of medication. I tell you what, reversing diabetes, 3 months. It's easy.
What do you mean by that?
What do I mean by that? It's
by changing your intake?
Yeah, by changing your diet. It's completely. I get people on diabetes medication all the time. It's one of my favorites because people are just, yes.
I worked at the Y for a while, and we had a program where doctors would send people to us that are pre-diabetic and on the borderline, but we didn't see them again. The doctor would say, well, why wasn't this successful? They'd rather just have the medication, eat what they want, and we're like, that's why we're not getting results.
That's so hard. Yeah. And there are those people. There are those people who just, they want to eat what they want to eat, and they're like, just give me the medication and I'm going to be fine with that. But the medications, they have side effects, and then you're constantly battling the blood sugar thing. And if you have, if you're pre-diabetic, you end up becoming diabetic, and your pancreas takes a huge hit, so it's a really difficult thing, but it's a lifestyle and diet change. And
So 3 months.
3 months. Oh yeah.
Easy.
Easy. Oh gosh, yes. That's
What does easy look like?
easy looks like a he's not making me believe
It's simple. It's simple.
simple as if,
Well, that's Keller Williams.
So diabetes.
Simple, not easy.
Simple, not easy.
So diet, let's talk about diabetes. Diabetes is your body's inability to break down what? Sugar. Sugar. Yes. Sugar is one of those things so a couple things. Your pancreas, it takes a huge overload and when it's constantly working. When you're constantly eating high carbohydrate diet and you're constantly getting that, all that sugar and stuff in there. So your body has to break it down. Pancreas releases insulin, okay? And we're supposed to be happy, all right? But when there's just too much going on, two things. When you're constantly feeding it that source, you're stressing your pancreas. The other thing is when you graze and you eat constantly throughout the day, your body continues to release insulin, so you're doing the same thing. And when your liver gets full of the stores, first things first, your body wants to use sugar first and foremost and get it out of your body. It'll use it as energy, but if you don't need it, it's going to store it as fat. It'll first go to fill up the glycogen stores in your liver, but when that's full, it's going to store as fat. So, yeah. Anyway, it's a radical diet change. Carbohydrates are 3 months, count it. You know what I mean? But it's a huge lifestyle change, but it's worth it. Because what comes from this down the line is a whole lot worse. I mean, there's so many other issues that are. One issue always spawns to another. And that's that your body takes on the burden of all of this inflammation, and while it's fighting and trying to deal with it, other things start to go wrong within your systems. Because again, like I showed you, things have to play together. This is an organism, all right? It's not just a one part or anything else. Just like you guys are all one. You're not one size fits all people. So that's why with diet, you can't just grab a one size diet for everybody and expect it to work for you.
But for everybody, you start with a liver detox.
Yes, I need a clean slate. Bottom line is, I want to make sure that your body can absorb nutrients. I want to make sure that you are going to be successful, and we can eliminate what triggers are there and start fresh. And it's a week long, but honestly, if
It's just a week.
it's only a week.
Hey, we're
You guys need to
guys.
have babies,
No, listen,
okay?
we're guys.
Have
We're
a
fighting,
baby.
okay?
Yeah, right? No, it's so
We've got things to compare this to.
one week long. However, if you
She
drop
didn't tell me though about this piece, so you guys are lucky.
So 1 week. However, if you drop like 9 pounds within the first week, I'll hold you
She
for
made me do
2.
it for 2 weeks because I lost 16
16.
in 1 week.
Oh, I'm gonna lie. If I'm over 9, I'm lying.
You're lying. So I was only
So
expecting
why?
1 week. Well, because it was so
Why hold them?
extreme.
Because your body needs
Obviously.
more time.
I had an
Okay.
extreme reaction to.
But he lost 16 pounds within 2 weeks.
No, more than 6. No, 16 in the first week.
30 pounds by the second week is what it was.
That's crazy.
30, 14 days,
So that's like massive inflammation.
30 pounds.
I had massive
Yeah, he had
inflammation.
massive inflammation.
Yeah.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
When you say sugar, you're talking about processed sugar?
I'm
You're
talking about sugar.
Natural sugar?
I'm talking about sugar.
Yeah.
Sugar. When it comes to diabetes, like honestly, the only fruits you should be having is like low GI, fruits, low sugar fruits. But the rest, even fruits, you got to be real careful with. If you want to bang it out in 3 months, that's you got
I
to.
want to bang it out in 3 months.
Yeah.
I just want to say that as a medical provider that prescribes stuff that ruins people's metabolism all the time, I do psychiatric stuff, so sometimes it wrecks your metabolism.
Totally no.
She's completely not wrong about the 3 month thing. I just wanted to for all the skeptics out
She's
there
correct.
wondering about, yeah, absolutely.
She's correct. You want to talk about the other layer to this, which I think for me personally,
Emotional eating?
the emotional
Yeah.
side of this, because that was
Yeah.
big. That was a big. I had a very unhealthy relationship with food.
Yeah.
But I mean, and you talked about the stress, but stress. Everybody's got stress, and so eating for me was a way to numb out. It was a way to avoid. It was a way to just deal with my stress, and so emotional eating was real. And so I'm still in denial, and I still struggle with the emotional eating, and it's one thing again to change your behavior, but if you don't get to the root of why you're doing your behavior, and this is across anything in your life, whatever behavior you might have, it could be alcohol, it could be avoidance, it could be emotional eating, it could be whatever you're not dealing, whatever behavior you have in your life, and it could be a relationship, it could be food, you got to get to the emotional, to the under the surface root behind why you do whatever behavior, and it might serve you well for a while, whatever behavior you're doing, but ultimately is it a destructive behavior in your life, or is it a positive behavior in your life?
Absolutely, and that's everybody has their own relationship with food. Let's talk about that. Everybody has there's certain foods that people. I feel like ripping something out of a dead body's hand. Let me tell you, to get some people to just separate themselves from things that they just love. We have these habits. We have these things. Food is social. Food is emotional. Food is love. You know what I mean? And so for me, food's
It's celebratory. I
Yeah,
mean, food's not just because if you're sad or stressed, it's also celebratory.
Absolutely. So for me, I'm like one of those really weird people. I'm like one of those really weird people. Food for me, as being an athlete, is fuel, and food for me is medicine, because food used to hurt me. Okay, and that is why when having reflux and GERD was one of the worst things I ever went through. I couldn't eat past 4 o'clock in the afternoon. If I laid down at night after eating any time later than that, food would burn up my esophagus. I couldn't talk the next morning. I mean, it would just hurt, period. So it became I remember just praying, and I'm like, God, why does, it doesn't matter if it's healthy food or not, it's hurting me. And it was such a painful experience but then learning that the right foods that I could eat that would actually heal my body was like a game changer for me. Celiac disease, didn't know it. Yeah. So that was like the big game changer for me. Once I eliminated that trigger out, my whole life changed,
Changing your perspective on what food is.
Food is fuel. It's going to heal me. And it's so funny because people, right now so with my liver being in the condition that it's been in, now this is a fairly new thing, that I've been going through. I'm going through a month-long detox on myself to get my liver back into place. By the way, your liver is the only organ that can regenerate itself. Like, you can have 1/3 of it left and it can grow back, okay? It's pretty stinking awesome. So I'm in the process right now of fixing that. And within that, I just lost my train of thought. No, where was I going?
Food is fuel.
You're in the middle of
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I have somebody, like, I'll have one of my clients be like, can't believe I have to eat this. And it's like the mindset, okay? If you sit down and you're like, I have to eat these vegetables, or I have to eat this. I'm so funny. I sit down at night and I'm like, ooh, bok choy, let's heal. Let's heal. I'm getting better. I'm not kidding. I will eat stuff that I know is helping my liver, and I look at it just with joy. Like, I'm fixing you. And it's the mindset, though. You can either look at it like, you know what, this sucks because it doesn't have a bunch of cheese all over it, and it's not filled with sugar, and it's not processed. I have to eat real food. It's awful. Or you can be like, I'm turning this ship around. You know what? Every bite that I take, I'm getting better. And it's a mindset. It's a mindset, Chuck.
change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change.
Absolutely, and that it's critical.
Also, as your body starts to heal and you're eating these better foods, your taste buds change too.
Yes.
And you can start to like things that you didn't before. There are things that you go, I hated that my whole life, and then you all of a sudden start to like it. So that's really encouraging
Absolutely.
too. there's a lot of people, I hate kale.
Where's the clicker go? Yeah, right. So I'm looking for the clicker because now this is Natasha. Natasha's
It's in
part.
your hand.
Natasha's
No?
part of my
That's good.
team, and actually, she is somebody who. Natasha, why don't you tell them your story? Come on up here. Come on up here. She is someone who was one of my clients first, and now she's part of my team. So, Natasha, why don't you tell them your story?
My story.
Well, I'm looking for the clicker because I have a picture of you on here.
I'll find it up here.
I found Susie a couple of years ago because I wasn't sure what I had. I was trying to figure it out. I knew there was some thyroid and hormone issues, but I had gained 80 pounds in a course of
This you right here?
like 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
I had gained like 80 pounds. I did all the bad diets. I did all the bad things, all the things I thought were good. Like I even tried to not eat, which lasted no time because I can't not eat. So I did lots of crazy things to try to lose weight and try to fix things, and just had no luck. And got with Susie, and we started. First thing I had to do, liver detox. And I lost, I think, was it 5 or 6 pounds that first week? That for me, I mean, I was almost crying because I couldn't lose even half a pound. I was gaining weight, like she was talking about earlier, you know, doing these diets and stuff, and I was gaining weight. And I was at a loss. And so I started finally losing weight, found out I had some thyroid issues, some estrogen issues, progesterone, I had candida overgrowth. I mean, it was just, the list was going on and on, because there were things from the way I grew up, living in the South. You know, we fry everything, we eat lots of gravy, biscuits, it's all good, I love it. But my body didn't like it. So, you know, there's just factors throughout my life that have led me to where I was at. And as soon as I started figuring out what I needed to eat for my body, the weight just started dropping and dropping and dropping. And now, I mean,
Well, then your hormones. That was the other.
hormones, yeah.
Yeah, I could tell from
I had
her.
cycle issues too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like she
Yeah.
was having a hard time with her cycle. Like she couldn't make it come, and I was like, okay, we got definite progesterone issues, you know. And I'm like, so just like I said, a lot of the hormones weren't playing well together, and then she had a gut dysbiosis, and that's the other thing. So I can usually tell based off of symptoms, you know, if somebody's having digestive issues or craving sugar, they eat a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of times, or if you've been on antibiotics. And that's the other thing, even if you haven't been on antibiotics, let's talk about your water, the water source. Our water sources are filled with all sorts of different chemicals and antibiotics and medicines and everything else. So if you guys aren't drinking filtered water, please do, okay? The other thing is with like milk, okay? That's the other big issue with milk being inflammatory because of the cows and the hormones. And also not just the hormones, but the antibiotics they get. There's a, what is it, RBST, it's injection they get, cattle get, or cows get, and it actually makes them sick. So they end up having to get, it's like, you know how we get like shots? They get a shot, all right? And because of that, it makes them sick, and they end up getting lots of antibiotics. That ends up getting into your milk. That ends up getting into your body. So basically, the things we take in are things that the other things are taken in, you know. So Tasha was one of those people who, she had candida, she had hormone issues, I mean, and so we tackled all of it, you know. And but so that's another thing that I look at. So it's dissecting, you know. I eliminate triggers, and then we go through detox. If we go through the detox phase and I see somebody not actually losing a whole lot of weight during that phase, either one, they are reacting to some foods, or two, they've got a gut dysbiosis. Like if they're eating, so like candida. Like, so you have in your intestines, you've got your small intestine and your large intestine. Okay, and your small intestine there's bacteria that gets up in there and it can overgrow, and from the large intestine. And you can also get an overgrowth of bacteria in your large intestine. And when it overgrows, oh my gosh, it's like a rotten weed, man. Like it really affects. You'll have skin issues. You'll have a lot of food trigger issues, you know, so you got to figure out which it is. Are you reacting to a food, or do you actually have, you know, some dysbiosis in there? So I do a lot of jogging trying to figure things out, if that makes sense. Let me see. Questions? Anyone? No?
Did you talk about we talked about the spinach, what's in.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about these healthy things that, like, you know,
You want to get back?
insulin resistance, inflammation. We've already gone through there. All right, so my big tagline is just because it's healthy doesn't mean it's healthy for you. Okay, so this is like reality check here. I get this all the time. People come to me, my diet is clean. I have rashes on my face though. My diet is clean. I can't lose any weight. My diet is clean. Well, what is clean? I eat nothing but healthy stuff. I don't eat processed foods or anything else. Well, okay. Just because it's healthy doesn't mean it's healthy for you. For instance, oxalates. Okay, so phenols are a category of different types of foods. All right, and now out of phenols, you have salicylates, you have oxalates, you have histamine type foods. If you are reactive to one of these things, you have things, you can have flushing in your face, you can have your ears flushed, histamine reactions. Histamine reactions, there's 4 different receptor sites, headaches. You know how people get like MSG headaches, or well, I'm having a migraine. A lot of times it's a trigger, it's a food. You can have rashes on your skin, like I talked about before. Your nose can run, your ears can itch. These are histamine releases. Now with oxalates, it's a different ballgame. Oxalates is a pain factor. Reason being is oxalates are an organic compound. Basically, they're found in plants, all right? So we have things that protect the plants, so animals don't eat them. They're like little tiny crystals. And also your body actually produces them endogenously, so you have them inside of you as well. When you have issues like digestive issues, if you've had Crohn's disease, if you've had gallbladder removals, if you've had digestive tract, bariatric surgery, all these different types of things will change the course of your digestion. Oxalates have a tendency to bind within those places. When I see people who have fibromyalgia, when they have MS, when they have rheumatoid arthritis, pain factors, I automatically flag, okay, is this really that, or is this an oxalate issue? And so, because what happens is those crystals will actually form into your tissue, into your joints, and they will wreak havoc. So, being an athlete, I run, bike, swim, paddle, you name it. I grew up playing ball too, so I was a goalie, the catcher. I figured I would just be a broken hot mess when I'm this age. I'm turning 50 real soon. My hip, like a year ago, like my hip just locked up out of nowhere, and I figured, okay, I'm just riding too much. Maybe that's it, or I'm just old, and it's just, you know, really, I couldn't get past it at all. And I realized I was eating a really high oxalate diet. What's high in oxalates? Spinach, nuts, potatoes, beans. I mean, it just literally, I eat spinach every day, okay? It's healthy, right? Chocolate. I mean, there are just certain foods that are really high in oxalates. And when you take those in, they settle into your system, and you have literally pain factors. So on intake forms, I have, like, one of the big things for oxalates is burning feet. When somebody tells me they have burning feet, I'm like, oh, I had a guy literally, another Keller Williams guy. When I saw his intake forms from the beginning, he had burning feet, and I was like, hey, before we even do anything, before I even talk to you about stuff, let's take some. I think you have an oxalate issue, and so. Not even, he decided to just, you know, he removed it. You know, he removed the oxalates out of his diet, stopped eating. So I looked at his thing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he has spinach every day, and he's got nuts every day. I'm like, buddy, like, really, these are really high. Took him out, and feet stopped hurting. And he was like, I didn't believe you. I was like, yeah, whatever. Oh my gosh, and he's really sensitive to oxalates. So when I talked about earlier how you can tell if your body's reacting to foods, okay? So, like I said, the inflammation factor, but it's also a weight factor. This guy, if he eats anything with oxalates, it's like 4 pounds the next day. Like, his body will just inflame. Same thing with Noah. You put gluten in, or his sugar
Dairy.
foods, and he gained 12 pounds in 3 days. I mean, you know what I mean? That's one way you can tell. If you get on the scale and your weight rises a couple pounds the very next day after you've eaten something, and you know, that's an indication that your body's inflaming. Okay, it's saying I'm not all right.
It's not holding water.
It's not holding water or anything else.
like-
It's inflamed, and it's saying, all right, we're not okay here. And it's funny to hear the one I'm talking about with the feet. He's like, I know how long it takes. It'll take me like 4 days, and everything will calm down, and he'll go back to the weight that he was, you know. But he stays away from his trigger foods now. And there's times where he makes conscious choices. He'll be like, I know what I'm going to eat this, and I know like. He's like, Susie, I ate like 2 bites of pizza. How does 2 bites of pizza give me 4 pounds? And I'm like, you're really sensitive to that, to gluten and dairy, you know?
Yeah.
Let's just stop being in denial. So now, like I said, it's conscious choices.
Well,
It's saying, I know what I'm going to go into.
Yeah, 2 weekends ago, we were at the brewery with our family, and I was like, they had the pizza food truck out there, and I was like, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to have a slice of pizza, and that momentary amazingness was not worth 2 days of feeling awful. I felt awful for 2 days for eating the gluten, for eating the dairy, and now it's the point where I'm still in denial, but I'm also my mind has changed in the sense of like it's not worth feeling bad for 2 days for that one momentary moment. I mean, like.
But I think everybody has to come to that place, you know, and that's the thing. Everybody is in a different place, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, I mean, everything. And it's coming to a place of acceptance. It's coming to a place of making a decision, first and foremost, of what it is that you want for yourself and what it is you want for your future. Like I was telling Noah earlier today how when I first meet with people, I mean, it's a process to meet with me. It's like you got to go through my team, and you got to like fill out, you know, we go fill out paperwork before you even meet with me because I want to make sure you're serious. Okay, and then the second thing is when I do meet with people, the very first thing I ask is their why factor. Why are you doing this? I want your why has to be good enough, because if your why isn't good enough, it's not going to hold you through those hard times. These are lifestyle changes that are embedded in you. And in order to make those changes happen and be successful with it, you're going to have to go back and print that why and that whole reason. Remember your reason of why you're doing this, you know, and make it better than I just want to look good in my jeans, you know. It's something that impacts your entire life, not just your life, but the lives of the people that you care for, you know. For me, if I make a decision that I'm going to go eat gluten, I'm in bed for 3 days. 3 days. Like, I can't be there for my family. I can't be there for my patients. I can't be there, period. You know, I'm literally, I have brain fog. I'm on the toilet or in bed, literally asleep for 3 days. It's that is how bad my celiac is, yes.
So I have a question. So it sounds like once you get off of, so your body's kind of hiding it a little bit, and,
Yes.
and it is affecting you. I had to use the bathroom, or my stomach hurt, I was bloated. And once you totally get off of it and your body's not used to it anymore, then that's when you get the severe reaction, like
Yes.
this is not good.
Yes. Yeah, oh, it's so funny. I'll get you broke me. What did you do to me? I never was like this before. And I'm like, it's now surfacing. This is the reality, okay? We clean things up. We calm the inflammation down. And now this is really the state of how your body's responding to this food.
It's kind of like your body's been in a coma.
Yes.
And you can do whatever you want to somebody when they're in a coma, but then when they're awake, you can't do those same things and them not react.
Right. Yes.
Does the body ever heal?
Yes. Oh gosh, yes.
So, but I mean, you're just describing your reaction to when we eat gluten again. So does the body ever heal that?
Well, if somebody has celiac disease, they have celiac disease for life. You know, if you have an intolerance to gluten, you may have an intolerance to gluten for life. And that's the thing. Like we talked about how it's processed. Sometimes you will eat things and they will, like with gluten in it, and you won't have a severe reaction, but then another time you will, because all the crops are being harvested differently. So it's just a matter of what's in that, you know what I mean? And so it's funny, people will do that. They'll be like, well, I didn't react then, but oh my gosh, the next time I ate it, it was really bad. You know, why was that? You know, and again, it's how the crop is harvested. Yes? Anyone? Okay. Yes?
Do you find that because your children have the makeup of you DNA-wise, that they react to foods now? Do you notice that in your children?
Well, so we stopped, we recognized years ago with Barkley, my oldest child, that he's highly intolerant to gluten. And so I can't speak as to if that's genetic or not, but like, yeah, I mean, so my oldest son has intolerances to dairy, intolerances to gluten. And we actually recognized that early before we even recognized it in myself. So we've been gluten and dairy free for 6 years with Barkley.
Yeah, and then Noah just got on the train.
Yes.
Is everybody gluten intolerant? Like, it seems
No.
like it's a trend, like everybody is.
No.
So patients are.
No. Like I said, a lot of it depends on how the crop is harvested. Everybody eventually, like I said, zonulin is going to be an issue, but not necessarily all the time. It depends on the amount. Like if you're continually eating it and it's something that your body just starts to not tolerate after a while, you're going to have a problem. A lot of people don't. You know, like I said, it depends on the crop. So there are
And your own genetic makeup.
And your own genetic makeup, and also your ability to digest things and absorb things. It really, it depends.
Didn't you have a client move to Italy?
Yeah,
I've heard that he passed over there.
Oh my gosh, yes. I have somebody over in Italy right now who was like in heaven. Okay, she's like, her whole family, they have issues with gluten, and they go to Italy and they're like, we're not having any problems. Because the crops were harvested differently. They're like, this is great. We are eating our way through pasta. And I was like, right on, you know? So it's yeah.
It also sucks that we're doing that to our own people.
Yeah, you know, it does, completely.
It's all about the almighty dollar,
Right?
unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Artificial sweeteners.
Artificial sweeteners are chemicals, and they're highly inflammatory.
Yeah.
What about sugar alcohols?
Sugar alcohols are inflammatory as well, but not like as bad as like it's.
Like erythritol, xylitol.
So, erythritol and xylitol have their own issues within itself. If you have issues with oxalates, erythritol will actually help. It enhances that and it causes issues with that. So there's stevia is like the only one right now that's working well. Stevia, honey is good. You know, maple's good. Monk fruit is good. But the aspartame stuff and Splenda, oh my gosh, it's like an addicting drug. Like really, it is. But it causes a lot of inflammation in the body because it's chemicals. You know, stevia and monk fruit are plants. Yes?
Could you give a bottom line recommendation, kind of like, here's things definitely to avoid more often, here's things that you should eat more often? After through all of this is one.
Okay.
So what are the terrible things? Just trying to stay away
Gluten,
from
dairy, and sugar,
I got that.
hydrogenated oils, processed foods. Eat real food.
Clean.
Put that into like potato chips and cheeseburgers.
Yeah. Potato chips not good. Cheeseburgers. I mean, you can have burgers. Burgers aren't going to kill you. You know what I'm saying? But it's balance. Okay, eat more real foods, eat more vegetables, you know. But then again, also eat, like I say, you got to figure out what's right for you, because
Listen to your body.
Listen to your body. Do some checks with yourself. You know, as you're incorporating these things in your diet, be very, very present as far as how your body feels. Like I said, are you bloating after you eat something? Do you get gassy after you eat something? You know. And then am I reacting to the food, or is it, you know, a gut dysbiosis, or is it, you know, stomach acid, you know, kind of thing. But really, most people, if it's within like the first couple hours, you know, you really can tell. And also, runny noses, like I said, the stool is really the moneymaker. All right. So I always send out a Bristol stool chart, and basically we talk poop a lot. Okay. 1 through 7. 1 is going to be constipation. A 7 is diarrhea. The sweet spot's a 4. Okay. You want to be at a 4. And so if I start seeing a bunch of 1s and 2s, I'm looking back over the last 3 days. What's going on here? What do you eat? If I'm seeing 6s and 7s, all right, it's over the past 3 days, and that's a great indication of trying to figure out if something's not working for you.
And I mean, I've just made a few changes over the last couple of weeks, and I'm dropping like a pound a day.
Yeah.
Just going to more vegetables and fruits and salads and stuff like that.
Excellent.
I have terrible eating habits. Plus, in this business, I don't eat breakfast and then lunch at 12 o'clock and then dinner at 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
I eat whenever I can.
Can we talk about frequency?
And let's talk about that. Let's talk about 2 things. One, let's talk about your guys' business. Okay. And
not everybody in here is a real estate agent, but a lot. Raise your hand if you're a real estate agent. I think about half the room.
Okay. A lot of social events. This is one of the things that I hear a lot of. I hear if one more person asks me how they can drink, oh my gosh. What can I drink? How can I drink? I go to a lot of social events. Please let me drink. Please. Where, please.
Wine.
I have somebody, literally every single, I use Marco Polo app is one of my favorite apps. It's a video chat app. And literally, daily, I get this message from one of my clients. Yep, it's me. I'm still sober. Everybody went out last night. Yep. And here I am, living La Vida Loca, still sober. When can I have a drink? Huh? And we're in the process of killing Candida right now. Candida feeds off of sugar. And so we're making massive headway while she's doing this. And she even told me today, she knows that she's almost there. But still, I mean, literally, that's the number one question is, when can I drink? And then it's just all the social issues, social things you guys got to go to, or it's the drinking and the eating and being around all this stuff, and it's making a decision ahead of time.
I'll make a stupid statement, but when I drink, I make bad decisions, right? So when I'm talking about my food decisions, right? So maybe you can have I've justified to myself, I can have vodka and soda and lime. That's really low calories, or not much sugar and no gluten. But then I'll choose to eat a bad food because
That's always.
It's all related, right?
It comes to. I tell you what.
Isn't that funny, right? It's
no, but it's true.
Where's your high level decision? And no matter what, before you start your day, I'm deciding to make good decisions. I've already made the decision to eat clean. I've decided not to eat sugar, dairy, gluten. And so if I made that decision that day, when I get to that lunch or I get to that dinner or whatever, I'm not faced with making that decision based on how I'm feeling. Like if we had a stressful morning and I get to lunch, I want to, if I hadn't made that morning decision or that overall decision, I'm going to make bad choices with that lunch decision.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, when you drinking usually ends up with a bad food decision because, you get to that point of, well, whatever.
Right? Okay.
Eat before you drink, then you're good.
Eat before you drink.
Yes.
I went on a 30-day detox one time, and it's painful, but it's worth it. But within that time frame, I knew of all these upcoming events. So I actually called the bartenders. And I said, can I bring my own sparkling water? Can I do this? Can I do
Yes.
And they actually, every single one of them was okay serving me in the wine glass with the cute little thing on it. And it was just having that for me.
Oh my gosh, that is brilliant.
To carry it around.
That is the most brilliant thing ever because that's what I hear. Right? That's one of the things that it's having that in your hand. I have had clients who literally they will pretend like they're drinking and just to get everybody off their back too, because
it was sparkling water, but in the glass no one could tell.
People are drink pushers and they're food pushers. Oh my gosh! Isn't it? It doesn't matter. You'll be like, hey, I'm not eating that right now. Oh come on! It's only one, so come on.
Yeah.
It's so good. Here, just try one. And you're like.
But you planned ahead. That's
I
awesome.
had
And you had a
to,
plan.
because I knew I wouldn't be able to let it go.
Yeah, and I had 2 weddings during my first month that I was attending, and so but because I made a high-level decision to stick to the plan, when I got to the wedding, I mean, it was an open bar, it was incredible food, and I literally had a small plate of roasted vegetables. That was the only thing I was, allowed, or that I chose to have. But again, I made that decision ahead of time, and at a high level, so when I showed up to the wedding, I was like, yeah, I mean, whatever, feedback you get from people, you just explain you made a decision.
And the holidays.
Yeah,
Boy,
Thanksgiving
we're sitting there right now. I mean, you guys, it's staring you in the face. And then let me tell you, Marco Polo this last night. Susie, I was stuck at an event, and now I got to go to a Bible study group, and there's Thanksgiving dinner there, and you've seen my logs, right? And I'm just like, a lot of it, it's.
Well, let's talk about the logs. It's talking about for me, it was just getting real, getting into reality. Like find your baseline. If you want to improve your finances, check out what your reality is of your finances. If you want to improve your marriage, be really honest about where you're at in your marriage. Right. If you want to improve your health, get really honest with where your health is.
And that's the thing, you have to be honest with yourself. Honestly, because we will fill our heads with all sorts of crap, to be honest with you, to denial and no, it's not this or that. But honestly, if you want to get down to the nitty gritty of it, take a hard look and do some evaluation. Write down exactly, what it is that you'd like to do. What is your goal? And honestly, how am I feeling? And then what does this, if I continue going down this road, where does this take me? It's really doing some tough questions and answers with yourself and getting real with yourself. Noah hid from me. Noah has, the funny ones. I'll get this Marco Polo. Okay, I'm just going to be really transparent here. And I'm like, you mean you're not? I mean, I'm one of those people that I lay my dirt out everywhere. Okay, I mean seriously, I am as real as you get, and you're gonna know it. And I'm gonna lay my dirt out everywhere, and I just expect everyone else to do that for me. And I am lied to all the time. I can't begin to tell you, but
I've not lied to you. I've avoided you.
No, you but the thing is, so if you don't tell me that you've been eating chocolate chip cookies all week long, and I'm seeing your weight rise, and I'm seeing, I call it out right away because I can tell. The stool's changing and everything else. Nothing else is changing. Weight's going up. Hey, are you being straight with me? Oh, what? Well, I may have had, some Halloween candy. And I'm like, buddy, I can't help you if you don't help me. Like, I'm going to be spinning my wheels for hours, looking back and being like, something's wrong here. Something's not right. What's going on with this person? What's going on with their gut? Is there, and you're thinking, eating ho-hos behind my back and not telling me. Come on.
That's not me.
No, not you, but you don't even know. I mean, people have come clean. I lied to you so much, and I'm like,
I wasn't gonna lie, so I just didn't report. But yeah, John.
So I came in a little bit late. But what all does process entail when you're talking about this detox process, when you're talking about the liver detox?
So basically, I remove all of the main trigger foods that cause inflammation. We're going to kill out gluten, dairy, and sugar, grains as well, and we're going to focus on specific foods for detoxifying the liver. And I'll also, if on your intake forms or whatever, if I saw that you had like histamine issues, like if you've had, if you're having rashes, if you're having other issues, I'll tailor it or I'll pull out histamine foods. If I see somebody with pain factor, I'll pull out oxalate foods because you know what? I think that they're an issue. So I'll streamline it based off of what I see in intake forms. And then it's a week long of just basically removing the triggers, allowing your body to calm down. And it's at an inflammatory state, so we're trying to get that inflammation down and under control. And then you're eating foods that are taking that liver that's been so toxic, and we're detoxifying it and making that thing work better again. So that's what that process is.
Like my dad, so he actually raised cattle, and so it's grain-fed cattle. But a lot of that beef, I've got what kind of like when you're cooking stuff, what kind of oils or any of that kind of stuff, is that allowed?
The types of oils, yeah, coconut oil, olive oil, avocado oil. I mean, those are really good oils to cook with, absolutely. And fats are huge. Okay, so this is oh my gosh, let's talk about fat. Fat is important. Fat is something that your body uses as fuel. It also uses as protection for organs and skin. I mean, underneath the tissue underneath your skin. Fat is an important factor. We went through the low-fat craze years ago, and it really just did a lot of damage on a lot of things. I mean, we started eating a lot more, everything's low-fat, but it's now processed, and it's high carbohydrate, and I mean, we're going to give you diabetes. So the thing is, though, like ketogenic diet, okay? Ketogenic diet was actually designed for seizures, and it really helped that side of people. Really good for the brain, really good for people with Alzheimer's. It helps that out a lot. Now, the problem with ketogenic diet is one, you can do it ketogenic diet, do it non-dairy. The dairy factor is still going to give you an inflammatory factor. If you're eating so many fats, it's going to congest your liver. So you've got to balance it out and get a lot of good vegetables in as well. So it's doing it the right way instead of just,
one size fits all diet.
Yeah,
right? I mean,
yeah.
it's just
But even with keto, I mean, people will just, they just go hog wild with so much
With the
fat.
bacon and the butter.
With the bacon and the
And
butter.
And dairy.
Yeah.
And
And they forget the other side of it. So now you're creating a different animal, okay? And we're elevating cholesterol. We're heart disease. We're having all sorts of problems. I have a guy who, blood pressure. Like he'd been on blood pressure medication for 10 years. Nothing would regulate his blood pressure. I mean, he was just all over the place with it. And they tried different meds and everything else. Get him during detox, and all of a sudden his blood pressure, changed all the foods, blood pressure just started dumping on him. And so he's like, okay, this is frightening. I'm going to lower my medication, all right? Because now I get people off meds. I don't normally do it this fast at all. It's a process. I work with people's doctors and everything else. Second week into it, he didn't tell me. He went completely off, okay? Because he had to. His blood pressure was stable. For the first time in 10 years. He went into his cardiologist, and the cardiologist was like, deuces, I don't need to see you ever again. Really, we're done. I mean, it's amazing what food can do to you. Food can heal you or food can harm you. It just to pick your poison.
Can we talk about fatty liver?
Let's talk about fatty liver.
Okay. So.
Say that again. What?
Fatty liver.
Fatty liver.
Fatty liver.
Yeah. So I just had a doctor tell me that I have fatty liver, and then my regular doctor. And then my OBGYN was like, oh, everybody's got that. It's not a big deal. But my regular doctor made it seem like a kind of big deal. And can you fix it? Can you not fix it? Is it going to kill me?
So we talked about the liver earlier and how it gets congested. Yes. Right. And how when it becomes fatty like that, hormones aren't going to work well. There's going to be a truckload of issues that are going to come with that.
I got a truckload.
Digestion, absolutely everything. It's something that you have to address. I wouldn't ignore it. It's definitely something to take care of.
Can it be reversed?
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah.
Okay.
Like
my
I said,
other doctor was like, once it's fatty. You just want to make sure you don't let it.
Did I mention the fact that your liver is the only organ that can regenerate?
Yeah, that's why I was like, let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. It's fixable.
Okay.
Yes.
So, exercise,
Well, that's
that fun word, how important is that in weight loss?
The majority of the people that I work with, I think maybe 2 people exercise out of I don't know, the hundreds.
I exercise at 20. Exercise is a good thing.
Girl, I'm an endurance athlete. I am all about exercise. Okay, there's the game.
But it could be walking is what you need, right?
So this is the deal. I'm big on exercise. You don't need to exercise to lose weight, but you need exercise for your heart. You need exercise for balance. You need it for stress. There are things that it is definitely, you need it for enjoyment. You know, exercise is an important
It releases
factor.
endorphins when you
Absolutely.
move.
That's one of the things that we're targeting now with him because he's an emotional eater. He's somebody when he stresses, and I was like, buddy, drop and give me 20. Like, really? Honestly, if you're in that mode, let's just release some pressure, okay? There's other ways to cope. There's other ways to handle it. First, pray. Go to God, honestly, number one. Two, let's just release something, you know? And that I do. Noah stopped, really, just do 20 push-ups. I mean, instead of grabbing the cookie. And now Noah wasn't exercising very much at all, and we just come up with a whole plan. I'm like, we're doing 5 days a week right now because you need it. You need that stress release. You've got a lot going on, and you have the time to do it. And if you don't have the time, you make the time. You can carve in time for what is important to you. Okay,
But the weight loss had nothing to do with exercise.
No, nothing.
I actually exercised less in the last 3 months than I exercised ever. And that's when I lost the most weight because I changed my intakes specific to me.
Did you exercise along your detox? You said you lost 30
No.
pounds.
I lost 50 pounds in the last 3 months.
Without exercising.
Without exercising.
Yeah,
Without.
the first 2 weeks you said you lost 30 pounds.
Yeah, there was no exercise. No exercise. And again, exercise is important, but it was not for loss. Yeah, PJ.
I just have a quick question. Noah had mentioned that you have a wait list because you're so busy.
Yes.
Do you have online resources that we can see? We have to go because obviously.
Yeah, I have like cards and stuff like that.
Not my wife's attention to me.
So I have a wait list right now until February. I did because I run a group program actually in January. Every January I pull together a month-long group program for people who just want to figure out what foods work for them. You know, we have a closed Facebook group for it and
Resources,
menu, all the recipes, the whole 9 yards, and it's a great way for me to touch a lot of people and help a lot of people at one time So we're trying to figure out how I can do a lot more of that. But there's so much of when I work with people, it's daily personal attention. I mean, I have so much contact with everybody, you know. So anyway, yeah, I have stuff up here you can grab on the way out.
And I posted on the event her website, which you can access the Facebook event. You can get that. You can get her flyer.
Yeah.
Exercise piece. What else were we going? There was some other thread that we're going down.
You were talking about frequency of eating.
Yeah, can we talk about frequency or?
Yes, let's talk about that. One of my favorite things to talk about. So thank you guys for coming, by the way. So the old way of I need to eat 6 small meals a day, and that's going to keep my metabolism up and running. Okay, so there's some things that don't work well with that. Okay, and this is the thing: your body needs time to rest and digest. So you have a parastitial contraction that actually happens from your esophagus all the way down every 90 minutes. When your stomach is empty, it works well and it pushes things down because we've got a long digestive tract to get things moving, all right? When you're continually eating throughout the course of the day, it doesn't work as well, and it can actually become paralyzed. And people have a lot of stomach issues and stuff because of that. So your body needs time to rest and digest. So I recommend like literally 4 hours, 4 hours or more between meals. Your body needs that time. And again, like I said, every time you eat, your body releases insulin. So if you're eating every couple hours, you're constantly taxing your pancreas. So it's not the best thing for your digestion. Make sense? Yes.
So I'm the opposite. I have to eat every 3 or 4 hours. Small meals.
Right.
Because if I go too long,
Blood sugar?
Yes, and I get worse stomach ache, and I've always been that way. And I realized as I got older,
That's just
if
you.
I do that, I'm fine.
Absolutely.
I have to eat the right things though. I can't just eat whatever. I have to eat the right things at least 5 times a day.
No.
Before I go to bed.
No, I'm the same way. I eat like a hobbit.
But I'm really active too, so you know.
And that's the same with me. I'm like I said, I'm an endurance athlete, so My meals are spaced out, you know, like with 4 hours. Sometimes they're less just because, like I said, I'm an athlete and I need the fuel. So, yeah, like I said, again, though, everybody's different. Everybody's body is different. But as far as the majority of people, as far as how your digestion works and everything else, it does need good periods of rest and digest. So intermittent fasting actually is not a bad thing at all. You know, people, my last meal might be at 5 o'clock, and then I don't eat again until, 6 the next day. I've got a good time there, where your body gets in recovery. Now, your body does all of its recovery and everything when you sleep at night,
So getting enough sleep is massive.
Well, getting enough sleep is huge because remember we talked about this guy down here? Cortisol. Okay, if you're not getting enough sleep, your cortisol levels are gonna raise. Okay, it's putting a massive stress on your body. Sleep is a huge component to weight loss because your body will it will get in that stressful state and it will want to store. So it's really important to get good sleep. It's really important to get the right amount of sleep. And that's one of the things that I see people rob themselves of all the time is, they sleep 4 or 5 hours and it's not enough.
What's enough?
Enough is anywhere from 6 to 8, honestly.
8 and I still feel dead.
You still feel dead because you've got a lot of issues. You know what I mean? I would pitch you with some hormonal imbalances and that's the thing. When you have those kind of imbalances, yeah, if you wake up, that's another indication of adrenal fatigue. Okay, if you wake up in the morning and you're just exhausted, okay, your adrenals are they're being taxed. If you at nighttime, if you're tired and wired and can't go to sleep, okay, we're dealing with adrenal issues. If you're waking up in the middle of the night, same thing, or it could be progesterone. Progesterone is huge with sleep. So hormones play such a massive role in everything with your body, and I don't think they get enough credit. Like honestly, I don't think people are educated enough on how that whole thing works and how it affects your body. Yes.
Is this the January program you're talking
Yes.
about? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to figure out what I'm looking at. So.
Yeah. Good. Yes.
May I ask you, what recommendation do you have for feeding kids? Because you might be in the same boat. Now you're getting into your diet and changing it. Do you apply that to your kids?
When it comes to kids, honestly, give them real food. Try and not give them junk. Packaged, processed things. Teach them how to, eat fruits and vegetables and get nutrient-dense foods. Go ahead. Hide it if you need to.
You keep them away from the milk, dairy.
See, that's the thing.
So
Chicken fingers.
So with that, I mean, no, the kids need calcium. They need dairy. Some people respond. You got to see if they're gonna
How they respond.
Absolutely.
They're people too.
They are. We don't do dairy in my house. Period. Because there's
Nobody does good with it.
nobody does good with it and also just with antibiotics and hormones and everything else. It's just
Even
not
the
something.
grass-fed organic milk.
You could go with that, absolutely. But did the cows get injections? Did they? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're still looking at other options and other issues. So with the kids, they need calcium. Bottom line, but you guys know that like the biggest foods in calcium are like green vegetables. They're not really dairy. You're gonna get a much better source of calcium when you do dark green vegetables, and people don't think about that.
What about grains?
They think, pardon me?
Grains.
Grains. People need grains. They need food. They need fuel. Absolutely. So your kids definitely need to be eating these things. But it's. Go ahead.
No, it was interesting. I'm gluten intolerant, which I realized a few years ago, just because I was recognizing how my body reacted. However, I had no clue that I learned from Susie. Potatoes and rice have similar makeup to gluten.
So there are certain foods that have there are certain foods that actually cross react and they actually have the same protein structures that your body will recognize as gluten, like corn. Oh my God, there's a bunch of different foods.
Corn, potatoes, rice. I mean, like these are things.
They're not potatoes, rice.
Rice. I
Yeah,
mean,
there's certain foods that they have the same protein makeup, and your body actually will recognize that as if you're really intolerant to gluten, they'll recognize that, and it causes cross reactions.
and you think you're being gluten.
Oh! Speaking of cross reactions, I gotta talk about this. Seasonal allergy people. All right. Okay. There's certain like trees and pollens and everything else that foods directly react with. So like in season, say you're having an issue with like birch trees or whatever, and you eat apples. Apples will react with that. I mean, there's like a whole list of foods that, yeah. So it's interesting because people will be like, I've always eaten this. Now all of a sudden I have this. Well, what's blooming today? I'll pull up the chart. What do we have blooming in your area? Do you know that you're, almonds? Let's talk about this. And they're like, oh wow. But the rest of the year they're fine. So, I mean, there's so many different variables when it comes to how your body reacts and responds to what it's sensitive to. It's a lot of different things. Yes?
What are some of the apps you use for this kind of thing?
So, let me see.
Apps like tracking?
Yeah,
or
for information.
So for a lot of times I'll have people use like my MyFitnessPal because I need to see calories, honestly. Like because if somebody is, not losing weight, there's are you getting enough calories in? Okay, or is your body storing? That's usually the first roads I go down to. Or are you getting too much in? Or then I look at like hormones and gut and everything else. I mean, I kind of have a picking process of trying to figure out what's your body doing, and what's really going on here. So calories is important, so I can see that. I use apps like, oh my gosh, I have an oxalator app. I have FODMAP apps. I mean, I have different like subcategories for like just a lot of technical stuff. So I don't really use that.
Was there a specific app you were thinking about, or
application?
application?
But maybe just to look up foods and what's in them, or what's high in iron, or what's or just any handy apps that are easy to use.
Yeah, I really don't. Yeah, I'm not good with that. I tell you what, I'm gonna look that up and I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna find some good apps for you. Cause yeah, I just don't use them because I'm normally just I kind of all know that stuff in my head. Yeah.
So when people log, they just write it down.
I use a Google Drive spreadsheet that I share with Susie, and so she has access to my spreadsheet.
I also have food logs that are in PDF form that people will just type it in
physically
and send it out, or they'll write it out, or I get scraps of notes and paper. I mean, it just comes in so many different forms. I really just try and make it easy for whoever, what's going to work for you.
MyFitnessPal, you can log what you eat and share it with somebody.
Right, and that's the thing. It's finding something that works for you. You know what I mean? Don't kill yourself. You got to find something that works for you.
Are there supplements or products or anything that you, or is it just real food?
It's real food. There are certain supplements depending on what your issues are. Like if you have adrenal issues, we're going to target things that are going to help with that. If you have issues with progesterone or estrogen, maybe we'll add some DIM in there and we'll try and lower estrogen. If you have blood sugar, berberine is one of my favorite supplements ever because it crosses a lot of borders. It helps if you have blood sugar issues. It will help diabetes, prediabetes, help lower blood sugars. Helps with weight loss, and it also helps kill candida and small intestinal bacterial overgrowth.
Berberine?
Berberine. Oh, yeah. It's a great supplement. Exactly.
And then just my own personal experience with the supplements. Some of the supplements had coconut in it. When I discovered it had coconut, we had to make sure I'm taking supplements that didn't have coconut in it because I was responding.
But I think everybody should be on a good multivitamin. Everybody should be on a good probiotic. It's essential to have good gut health and good gut balance, and balancing out bacteria and getting the right things in there is important because we ruin that a lot. Yes.
On probiotics, I have not been able to find one that does not cramp my stomach up really bad.
How long did you stay on it?
Well, the longest I could stay on it was about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And it just gets so bad.
Okay. There's different strains of probiotics, and there's different, quantity as well. But there's also, when you're introducing probiotics into your system, a lot of times what happens is your system will actually have a period of die-off, to where you have a lot of bad bacteria in there. And so, yeah, you'll have stomach cramping, it's normal, absolutely. So when when we go through the detox phase, I take everybody on a really high probiotic as well. And we go through that, just trying to get it all the nasty out, And yeah, it's some people respond well to it, some people don't respond well to it, because the body is just like I said, it goes through a die-off stage. And so, give it some time. What ones have you used?
There have been several that I've tried.
Yeah, there's different ones. There's different ones that are specific for different things. So it's kind of depending on what your needs are. If I can.
Can you get
Well, hold on a
something
second.
like in your health food stores kind of thing?
You get the probiotic that you recommended me was at the co-op.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we have about 15 minutes left, and we're gonna save that for questions and answers. I'm just thankful everybody's here.
Are we doing questions and answers?
Yes, right now, yeah, we are. But I'm thankful everybody's here. I wanted to thank Keller Williams for allowing us to be in this space, and thank Susie for being here. And again, she has a group program in January. She also you can get on her waiting list for February. We're giving away this Google Home Mini. So if you've not put your name, email address, and phone number down, we're going to do a drawing right before at the end of the program. So I'm going to pass this around and let Susie finish up the program with questions and answers.
Yes.
Your clients have blood work done before they come.
No. I asked for any labs that they've had ran in the last year, so I have a baseline of what's going on. If you don't have any labs, I don't worry about that. And honestly, not everybody needs labs. It's when I see hormonal issues or I see other things going on where I'll be like, hey, you know what? We need a baseline on this. We need to see where things are at. I think that you're having a thyroid issue. Let's run it. And I run labs. I can order them myself. I also have a doctor on my team I have a doctor in San Diego on my team who treats my people all the way everywhere, to where if they have thyroid issues and they need medication. And then I have a pharmacist who actually has a storefront in San Diego, specializes only in hormones for like the last 30 years. He's brilliant. And it's crazy because normally if you have a thyroid issue, the doctor will start you off like on a very low dose thyroid. You got an issue, and then they'll check it like 3 months later, which is crazy. It should be checked 6 weeks later because that's about the time frame that it takes to process. And also, the numbers should be calculated. So when my thyroid went wackadoo, literally, it tanked. And if a normal doctor would have started me off at like 30 milligrams, my pharmacist regulated everything based off of my numbers, and he started me off on like the highest dose I had ever seen anyone have. When I see somebody who has an intake form that comes in and they tell me that they're taking 240 milligrams or something of thyroid medication, I know their thyroid is bad, and that's where he started me at. And thank God he did, because literally within a week I was functioning again, and I was feeling better again. Had he not had done that, and I had gone the regular route, it would have taken so long. Yeah, and that's what I see a lot of. I see a lot of people come to me and they've got thyroid issues and they've got hormonal issues and they're not getting the right labs ran and they're not getting the time frame of things done in time, where the rechecks, 6 weeks, Yes?
Have you found that TRICARE covers this or no?
No. I can't do that with the insurance. Like, it's out of pocket, but I get a really good deal. Like I can do a complete hormone panel and thyroid for like $150, which is like, I mean, that's ridiculous. So, but I can also work with your doctor and have him order it, and then maybe start carrying that way it's covered. So usually I start that route, and I say, hey, let's talk to your doctor and tell them that let's run these. You know, one of the biggest things with thyroid is people don't run reverse T3. So when thyroid panels are ran, normally what a doctor does is he just texts the TSH, the thyroid stimulating hormone, to see if that's releasing, okay? Now that is not a great indication on if somebody actually has a thyroid issue, because, again, perfect example, my TSH was completely fine. Now when you looked at my T3 and my T4, as my doctor said, Susie, they're almost non-existent. I was like, I know, you know, but insurance-wise and everything else, normally the baseline is they'll do TSH and you don't need anything else, and that's not the case. You need to have a complete panel done to see if something else is going on. And so I always recommend that to everybody. And reverse T3, let me get to that. So if your free T3 is sitting on the low side, okay, so meaning, remember I talked about T3 and T4 earlier, the thyroid. So free T3, the range, low side, I'm going to say it's around 2.3 to like 4.5, okay? If your numbers are coming in like around 2.5, 2.7, in the 2s, it sits on the lower half of the scale. Now reverse T3. So let me speak English. Free T3, imagine, is putting on the gas pedal. Your body's saying I need thyroid hormone, okay? And it's releasing it. Now, reverse T3 is over here at the cell, and this is called the brakes. This says, okay, I don't need as much, all right? So they kind of balance at each other. Like this says how much you need, and this is going to put the brakes on. Well, when this number, we'll say, when this number hits anywhere in like the last 2/3 of this, and it shows in the higher side or it's out of range, it shows resistance. So you have something really low over here and you have something really high pushing back on it. So you have T3 trying to get into the cell, and this is saying, not going to happen. So a lot of, by running a full panel, you can see that, and that shows resistance there, which is not good. So you might need extra help to get that thyroid hormone actually into the cell. Make sense? Yep. Okay.